Awesome. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Code Live with Google Cloud, episode number 4. Wait, that's 8. 4. 4? Anyway, doesn't matter. My name is Mark Mandel. I tech lead developer relations for gaming on Google Cloud, but that's not very important. What's most important is who is with me today. Jennifer Davis. Jennifer, how are you doing today?
I'm doing lovely. Thank you, Mark. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm in front of an audience, so I'm doing very well. Makes me very happy. Jennifer, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Who are you? What do you do? You do cool stuff.
I do cool, but you do amazing stuff.
You do
But
cool
I'll
stuff.
just tell you a little bit about me. So, hi, I'm Jennifer Davis. I am a lead in the Google Cloud DevRel engineering team, and we do lots of cool engineering things for DevRel. Primarily, we're focused on a holistic view of samples and helping people do things with Google Cloud in different languages. I'm also an author and I do fun stuff, but I'm really passionate about open source and I want to enable folks to be able to contribute and build things because it's awesome. Which brings back to you're awesome that you didn't share that you do open source stuff here.
I do a few open source things here and there. I do a couple of bits and bobs on occasion. I've been known to do some open source stuff. But you want to talk about open source maintenance today with Gemini and stuff. What is open source maintenance? What sort of fun stuff are we talking about?
Well, like maintenance actually feels like now that I'm thinking about it, it's a terrible word. It's like how you contribute, how do you do things? But if you want to have a sustainable project,
right?
One, you need contributors, right?
Good start.
But you got to think about like what are the things people are trying to do with your project. So it's like what's your documentation look like, but it's also like identifying proactively problems, bugs, security issues. And so like a healthy open source project has active maintenance, has a plan, has all that stuff, but the scale gets harder and harder. And so I'm curious, can Gemini help us to scale our open source processes?
That'd be cool. All right. Where do we want to start? What are you thinking?
Well, so we are responsible for a number of repos. So if we could start with one, that would be amazing.
That seems like a good start. What repository do we want to start with?
Let's start out with the Golang samples repo. So that will be all the sort of samples.
Google Cloud Golang sample repository.
Yeah.
I'll make that a little bigger so people can see what I'm writing. Sample apps and codes written. Does that look like?
That looks good. Can you make it? Yeah. Maybe 2 more. So it's
there we go.
Beautiful. Yes. Beautiful.
All right, so this is the repository we want to look at.
Yeah, let's start here.
Whee. Okay, so there's all kinds of stuff in here. Ooh.
Yes.
All right. And what do we feel like we think we want to do with this? Maybe as like at least to getting started idea. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I would love to get started by like loading it up so it has context, and maybe if it could tell me, hey, here are the top 3 things you might want to consider doing to improve your.
I like that.
Yeah.
Like what improvements would you see in the code base? And let's just see what it comes up with, and maybe it's something cool.
Yeah. So the interesting thing about samples is that with samples, it's not like this project is not one project. It's not like here's this
There's
website
a lot of
or
them.
this is it's everything might be alone in isolation, or it might be like, and it's like piled on. Or it might have dependencies on different parts. And so having a holistic view, which is different from like this team is responsible for this set and this team is responsible for this set. It's like, what does the whole thing look like? And I think Gemini might be really good at this.
Okay. Do you have any mind? Do you mind if you wanted me to type, right? And you're gonna direct me. All right, so that's cool. You happy for me to work locally on this? I don't like it's easier for me at least.
Locally
cool?
as in
On this machine, so I'm not going to
oh
use
yeah,
it on
yeah,
workstation
yeah,
and
yeah,
stuff. Okay,
yeah.
workstations
No.
are cool. Cloud Shell is cool, but I'm just gonna much easier. So I'll actually pop up a terminal and let's make that bigger as well. Oops. Come on, shrink in. Oh, is that there it goes. Okay, is that big enough? Do we want bigger?
I think that's good.
All right, so in workspace. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do to start is
Well, first thing you have to tell me about your prompts. That's what you first like. What do you got?
We have to load this up first, right? Oh, my prompt. You mean this? Sorry.
Yeah.
Overloaded terms. When you said prompt, I thought Gemini prompt. We're gonna get right into it. So first things first, I'm running tmux so I can like split my terminal and do all that kind of fun stuff.
Awesome.
Sessions to keep that live. This is Starship, if I remember correctly, which is a configurable configurable terminal written in Rust that you can configure to show different information, and we'll see some of that information come up. You can actually see what Google Cloud project I'm on, and also what GKE cluster I'm connected to, my Kubernetes cluster. None of that is very important for today, mind you.
No, but this is helpful because then it tells us this is really great. So
yeah,
you're like, because we're going to be working with a specific project, and that's how it's going to show up here. And so people,
oh, you know what?
It's not magic.
That is a really good point. You created this project here, so let me set that up first too, actually.
Awesome.
I'm going to do this as the way I like to do it. I'm going to create a new configuration, and we'll call it literally that.
This is so fantastic because I'm getting a first eye view of like, how could someone get started, like potentially contributing to our Go samples? And like, this is amazing. Thank you.
Let's go now. Okay, so now we can see I am on your open source, as in tomato sauce, repository. Not repository, project, but that's a start at least. All right. I'm going to make let's call it open. Let's create just a new. We're creating a new directory. All right, so let's clone. I'm going to start with. I'm going to clone this repository, so at least I've got a local copy of it.
Awesome.
And then we can work things out from there. I think is. So I'm going to use. I like the GitHub has a CLI tool, GH, that makes some of this stuff a little bit easier. And I quite like it for that. That's going to take not too long. Perfect. So I go here. And I go. I can see I have lots and lots of stuff. So, just because I'm curious, can I how to calculate the number of lines of code? All right. You know what? Gemini.
How many lines?
Oh, I thought this was enabled. All right, hold on. I was going to ask Gemini in the project how to do it. But I thought I'd actually turned on all the APIs. So before using Gemini in a Google Cloud project, you do need to turn on the APIs. It usually involves just pushing a button. I have now done that. Beautiful. That's lovely. Okay, so let's come back over here. Oop. Let's try that again. I did that though. I did it. Oh, there we go. Perfect. In Bash, how do I calculate the number of lines of code in a directory? Is that big enough? That should probably be a bit bigger. Is that better?
Yeah, that's good.
Perfect. Anyone watching live, please feel free. Here we go. There's a Bash script to find grep and word count. All right, let's do that. Whee! So that's let's say 260,000 lines of code. Not bad. Not bad. Ooh, interesting. And you also, as a note, you've got like videos in here and stuff. Cool.
Because if you're gonna validate that a sample does what it says, you might need to have something to test against, or you might want to upload something. There might be better strategies of how to manage some of this stuff. Maybe store it in Google Cloud Storage, for example. But we'll go from here. Yeah.
This is also version controlled. Like stuff isn't going to move out from under your feet. So I get it.
Yeah.
That makes sense. All right, so there's like 260,000 lines of code. So we have a 2 million token context window. I can never quite remember how to map that back to actual text. So that's also going to be entertaining to find out. All right, so let's do that. Trying to decide. I don't want to open up the entire Golang samples in my IDE. That can sit off in a separate repository. So let's just go. What do I want to call this? I'm going to call it. What's the name of the directory we want to like? What are we calling this?
What do you mean? The thing that we're calling it is like evaluating the like we're evaluating the project. So yeah.
I don't know if anyone's got a better name, anyone in chat or anything. But anyway, that's my all right. So CD evaluation. All right, cool. So now, all right, so we want to do two things. One of which is load all this up and then be able to run a prompt against this thing somehow. Yeah.
Right. So set it up with the context and then
fire away.
Yeah.
Cool. So I'm gonna write this in Go. Is that okay? Because that's what I
know. That sounds great. I haven't done a lot. Like I personally have not done a lot of Go coding for like close to 4 years. So this will be fun.
This will be fun. All right, let's just do a Go mod init. I need to give it a name. We'll call it evaluation. It just gives me a couple of little Go mod. Yep, beautiful. And we're gonna make
awesome.
All right, so that is a good start. Now I have IntelliJ. Woo! All right, let's.
This is going to be interesting. I've only used VS Code. I'm like, oh, this is good. This is awesome. I didn't know that. I knew that this is like a good IDE for Java. Is it good for Go?
So it's an interesting. So the IDE. So in the JetBrains IDE ecosystem is an interesting one in that you can get you can get language specific like IDEs, and this is a little too small, so let me make that a little bigger as well. So you can get like there's IntelliJ is very known for being Java. Goland is like the Go version. I think they do one with Rust recently, but I forgot what happened with that. Like there's WebStorm for doing like web stuff, but ultimately a lot of everything that they have is all plugins. So I started using IntelliJ first because I had some plugins I was using with that, and then I started using other languages. So I just plug in the Go plugin and I plug in the Rust plugin, and like it ends up being pretty much exactly the same experience. And it's already I'm so used to it now. This is just the setup I've been using forever. Is that visible? We good on size?
Make it like a little bigger. I mean, it's visible, but like yeah, awesome. Okay.
All right.
Cool.
All right, and then func main. All right,
so for folks just joining us now, what are you doing?
We have a basic Hello World Go app. Go. All right, so what I'm not sure how I'm going to do, but this should be entertaining. Is I'm going to write a little command line thing that basically we can futz with for, a technical term. That's going to, I guess, go through all the code that we have in our Golang samples, put it together somehow. That's not bad. And then we should be able to query it. Now,
cool. I'm wondering if there is a sample that will do the thing, like that will get us started a little bit, actually in the repo. But
we have Gemini Code Assist. Let's see. Let's select a GCP project to continue. What's the name of our project? Our project name. Let's turn on Gemini Code Assist. Beautiful, which I think is enabled here. Well, Gemini's enabled, so we should be good. So we can do all the things while we're here. All right. Oops.
Whoa.
All right. So we'll set that up. All right. So now we have Gemini Code Assist as well. Write me. Let's get a function that takes a path and recursively looks for all Go files in that directory and prints out their name. Let's see how that goes.
Okay. I feel like we're jumping way, because you already know, and I'm like, oh, but how do we build up blocks? So, so what you're doing is all the, and like, tell me if I'm interpreting this right. You're like, I am figuring out all the context that I would want to provide and to do to the AI, and in order to do that, I need to traverse the directory listing, figure out all the files and everything else. So why would we do that? It was so we can it's like set the context for Gemini.
Yes.
So like right now, this is not anything to do with the AI part.
But I need the data.
Yeah. So we're writing a little script to scan through everything.
Yes. And I thought I'd start with just printing out what's the word I'm looking for? Printing out just the name of the file rather than trying to get into the contents, because at least then I can see it's doing everything it should be doing, even though it's probably still a lot of files. This is not bad. I'm just going to copy that over. So Gemini Code Assist, for people who haven't used it, it's our Gemini-powered code assistance. It can do stuff like this, which is kind of very impressive. All right, that's not actually where I want it to go. I want it to go, you know what, we can leave that hard-coded. We're just playing around for now. Try that, but I want it to be in Golang samples. I did spell that right. That looks right. Okay. Let's see if Gemini Code Assist actually did what we wanted it to do. So let's just run it. Now
I'm wondering if evaluation like this, I know this name is this is not actually in this. It's at the open source layer, right? Maybe. Because we don't want it to scan this thing we're working on.
Yeah, that's why I got Golang samples under open source. Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. 100%. Awesome.
I see a message. Sharon, do you want to expand on what you're talking about there about unorganization? I'm very curious.
I'm curious if it's the directory listings inside Golang samples in unorganized, or if it's our process to figure out how we're going to do this is unorganized, because this is a learning code live.
All right, so that looks, that's a little, there we go. Let's bring that out, bring that in. Okay, that looks like pretty much everything. So Gemini Code Assist is really good.
Awesome. Can you scroll up a little bit back in the listing? Because I'm wondering if I saw some dots that we would want to like ignore. Maybe not.
So I told it to just go through every Go file. What is that? What's that K file? That's I tell you what. What I will do is actually something slightly different. I wonder if it'll do this right. Rather than use format.println. So I'm going to tell it to use a logging format, so we can actually see the difference.
Okay.
Use the log package. Let's see if it'll change that for us. I could actually do this by hand, but sometimes it's just really handy. Yeah, that looks better. But this, if something does go wrong, I'm actually going to log.fatal that. There we go. So if something does go wrong, it's just going to die. It's just going to stop.
Awesome.
That looks better. All right, so let's run that again. So now we actually get like a little timestamp. So we can actually have a little framework for like actually logging what we're looking at. All right. That looks pretty good. Sweet. All right, so that gives us a lot of the files. I can. What do I want to do next? My next thought, and interject at any given point in time, is to basically. I basically need to build up all the contents of the files in probably with some sort of delineator of like what the file content is, I guess. Like, what do we want that to look like?
So going back to what, like, how we load this up, because like, because like, because I think about previous episodes, and it's like, oh, we'll just use the console, and we'll just like do this, and look, we can't do that because we need to provide the context. And so what does that format for the context look like?
Yeah.
And so it's like the file name, and like how, like what are we sending over? Like,
yes.
What is that called?
So really, okay, so
is that like, is that part of the prompt? Is it part of the, and it's like, this is the context.
So this is all right. So okay, so I'm gonna do some basic Go stuff here, which will be I've got to remember how to do this. All right, let's go have a look over here. So where are we to? Here we go. I need a good way of doing like string concatenation in large is a Golang string buffer. If I remember correctly. There we go. String builder. There we go. So we have a builder, and we can append stuff to it and then pull stuff out after we're done. It's good for that. All right, so let's get one of those going and get that passed all the way through, because that's a good start. Find Go files will need a path and a b pointer to a strings.builder. So I need that to go all the way through. And oh, interesting. This is not, I actually just realized this isn't recursive. It uses a thing called walk. Did not know that was a thing. Walks a directory tree. Ah, that's handy. Okay, cool. That's fine. Okay, cool. All right, so that gets passed through, and that'll give me, oh, in which case,
this is fascinating because like I've seen this in Python, and I'm like, like I was like, oh yeah, that's probably the same thing as os.walk. Like that, like it's the same thing. Awesome. So in terms of like, do we need to just concatenate everything, send it over, and that's, or do we need to like say, here's the content for this file and group it up? Or what are we, because like we found all the files, but we need all the content in those files.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. I'm going to call this like get all content, and it's just going to spit back a string with everything we want in it.
Okay.
Or maybe we call it grab source code for a very technical name.
Extract source code from repo.
All right. Beautiful.
Awesome.
All right.
Awesome.
And then I'm not gonna maybe I mean I can, but that's gonna be messy. That. Oops, that's not what I want. My key mapping's not right. Bear with me. I thought it got sent across. Should be that. Yeah, we want to turn that one off, because there's that. Okay. If you've ever used IntelliJ, there we go. Oh, it didn't like that. Okay, that's fine. Well, let me do that. I actually find Gemini Code Assist does better in a chat window. No, it won't let me do it. All right, then it does inline there. But anyway, that's fine. We'll do that for now. Okay, so here we go. In Go, if I wanted to print top 10 lines of a string, how would I do that? Oh, that works. I'm gonna cheat a little, check that down there, and
I'm trying to figure out what you're doing.
okay, so what I'm doing
I get that you're doing top 10,
sorry,
but wait, why top 10?
Because it's going to be a lot, and I just want to see the top. I just want to see that we're actually getting something that we accept, so I can just kind of sample it. But otherwise, it's going to be
to validate that you're actually like that it's doing the right thing. Got it.
Yep. So okay, so we got log println path. All right, so that's whoops. What did I just do? All right, so let's add like to the buffer b dot write string. We'll go like I don't know dash
file
actually,
path
format dot sprintf. So this is a string formatting. Let's just do weird things. We'll say
I'm just offering up a okay, cool.
/n and then where are we? Here we go. And then where's our file path? So that should write the string, and then this at the very end. All right, with that, and then return b dot string. All right, let's see what that looks like.
Awesome.
Shrink that again. In fact, I'm gonna get rid of that window just because that's making that a little better. All right, so we have Ooh, so we have that little. Do we care about that little the relative path, or do we want to clean that up a little bit better?
Will it? I think it is fine to.
It's probably fine for now. Yeah. Do we want to say something like contents of, just so like maybe Gemini is a bit clearer of what's coming?
Yeah, that sounds good. Contents of yeah.
I'm gonna get rid of that line just to make our life a little bit easier. Let's run that again. Cool. So that gives us a. So we'll see that as it comes in. All right, sweet. Now we need to read the whole file. So we can generate that. Read the whole contents of path and put in there we go.
You're selling me on this code assist in terms of like prompting. Awesome.
Because sometimes I can't remember what I write code a lot and I write Go a lot, but sometimes I don't remember how to do this. So all right, so that puts it in file, it turns into a string. All right, so I'd like to point out the fact that it did that work for us already. Like it did it in the byte thing. That's smart. The byte builder, the string builder. I just realized it actually did the thing we wanted it to do. Okay. All right, sick.
Do we need to put a delimiter at the end here to say like this is the end of the contents of this file, or is it gonna like should we just assume it'll recognize like at the beginning and the end?
I don't know. What do you think?
Let's put a delimiter at the end.
All right, what do we want to put here? Just like a like something like
yeah.
Something
awesome.
Like all right, end of
sounds
file.
good.
Oops. Just being consistent with my hyphenations. Okay. Let's run that. We should see the top 10 lines. All right. Fantastic.
Oh, awesome. And yes. So now I'm realizing, huh? Do we need to, like, in passing this over, it's like, no, this, I mean, maybe there's too many maybe it'll be fine, but like maybe it can ignore the top set of comments. Like,
oh, you want to skip like remove comments?
No, I don't want to remove comments because the comments, there's helpful comments in there that explain.
Oh, but like how many times are you going to go through the Apache license essentially?
Exactly, that license header. Like if we were writing a tool that was like, make sure all the files have license headers, that is awesome. But actually, I don't need to, like, that's just wasting. Like, we can ignore it for now, but yeah.
I think you are right. What I was gonna say is maybe do it later.
Yeah. For later, to do.
For later. It's a good one. I like it though. Let's go away. I don't need that.
I'm totally gonna be like, this is such a cool tool. We're gonna take Mark's source code. Here's our new repo tool for folks to use.
There we go. I was thinking something else. What was it? Oh, that's right. Just for funsies. So that's interesting. Okay. As an interesting thing, that's how many lines we have. Well, technically it's not the source. It's technically context, and maybe we should name it. No, I don't like the name context. But anyway, we'll work that out. It's a naming thing. So when we did it in Bash, we saw there was like 260,000. When we were just looking at Go code, there's like just shy of 200,000. So I'm guessing you also probably have a bunch of YAML files in there, and maybe a bunch of other things as well. Markdown, probably.
Yep.
That kind of stuff. Do we want to care about those now, or do we just want to start with Go and then maybe we expand over time, or what's your thinking?
This is such a great question, because if you think about it, some of the things is in context is like Docker files, and like you need that for.
Oh yeah.
But let's ignore it for now.
Let's ignore it for now. We can always add later.
Yeah.
All right. So in which case then, actually, I don't even like this name. Let's call this build content. Let's pull this Gemini context.
Oh yeah, I like
Let's call it that. Let's get it and G context. Yeah, do the refactor. Go on. Perfect. All right, that looks nicer. Just as an aside, I call it G context because, or maybe we call it model context, whatever you want to call it. It's fine. Context is something that gets used a lot in Go. There's like the context object and stuff, and I just don't want to get confused with that. So yes.
Awesome.
Okay. So, all right. So we have. All right. So we have a context. We have the data that I think we want to get started with. I think the next step is stick it in Gemma. Oh, Gemini. Sorry, wrong model. We stick it in Gemini and we do some stuff with it.
Yes. So how do we do that?
Alrighty. So there are Go libraries for accessing Gemini. The nice thing is because I'm logged in locally, I can basically call them from here. I don't need to like host this on something. So I think we can just do that. Let's see what we got. I'm going to keep all this stuff here. But I can't remember exactly how to do that. I'm going to go look it up. Cool.
This is where earlier I was like, oh, there's probably an example of doing this in this samples repo. But
is there?
Let's look it up. I'm sure there is.
There probably is. I know. Wait. Golang. It's our library is called Vertex. Here we go. Here's a quick start. That'll do it. Oh, no, this is function calling. This is not what I actually want. The quick start. Yeah, that's what we want. This is the page. Let me make that bigger. So this is what we are looking for. Okay. This looks not too bad. Okay. And there's a bunch of stuff we can do with this, but I think this is the basic bit. Go ahead.
On your left hand side, it says long context. Does that seem relevant if you scroll down a little bit? Long context. That sound like, is that a lot?
I took in programs of 2 million historic collection of models. 150,000 lines of code. This may not be it. We may have too much, but anyway, okay, let's find out. Long context use cases, long form video. We did some stuff with podcasts.
Oh, there's not
last time. Yeah, I think this is just a description.
Okay, I was thinking, oh, it's gonna give me a. Yeah, no. Okay, cool.
All right, so let's get started with some of this. So I have to remember how to do this now. Let's grab that as a dependency. So I'm just getting go to yoink that down.
Oh, look, you got a little kitty.
Yeah, so I have a little plugin that does the Nyan cat as a progress bar because fun.
Awesome.
Okay, so that's now down. Fantastic. And I'm going to steal some code. Oh, there's some interesting stuff in here that I think I will want to change. But you know what? I'm just gonna so context, talking about general context. Give me a new client.
Yeah, so we gotta have a client. We gotta set that up because like you gotta.
Yep. I'm gonna steal. You know what? I'm just gonna steal this. I'm gonna steal it. And I'm gonna go. Let's create a new function. We're gonna call it func. Call Gemini. And we'll take a prompt string. Okay. Oh, we are indexing. And we're going to be really lazy with our error handling. Okay.
So where location wise would be the region this is going to be in? Is US Central 1 where?
Probably fine. I don't think it necessarily matters.
Okay. And the model is that, do we want to use Gemini 1.5 Flash or do we?
I have thoughts, but I want to hear your thoughts first.
Well, we were just looking at that long context and it said 1 million tokens, approximately this for Flash and the other one. But then I think of open source, like you had to be cost efficient. Like if I was thinking, how would I map this as an open source person? You get some amount of free credits that you can try shit out. What's the language rules on this? Oops. So I have feelings.
You do.
What are your thoughts here?
So my thought is we want to get here we go. We want to get the best response we can. I think let me rephrase it. We want to optimize for quality of response, not in time of response. Would we agree on that? Yes. And so I think with Flash optimizes for time of response, not quality, whereas Pro will optimize for quality rather than time. So I think we should absolutely use Pro also because it gives us the 2 million context window rather than Flash, which I think is 1 million off the top of my head.
Right. Yeah. And so in time, we are 100% in agreement.
Cool.
For those reasons. And the concern with time is not time is in like weeks, it's time is in seconds, minutes. Not, and so like we're not real time building something that is we're building something that gives us context as humans to go do something. And so that's where yes, I agree, quality over time.
Cool. So many things we could play with here, but okay, let's not one problem at a time. There's a few different ways. Okay, so what do we call the model? I don't want that one. Google models. Here we go. Gemini models 1.5 Pro. So I think we need like a not that. What's the that's the little bit I'm looking for.
Yep.
Okay, so let's pop back over here. I kind of like having these as just some constants. Oops. Do that. Just to make them a bit more global. And also, I'm going to call it project. Oops. Yes, my project ID, which we have as, what did you call it?
Sauce. How is it? SIGJE dash open sauce dash 1. Yep, that's it.
Copy. And beautiful. Which we haven't got anywhere yet, but that's okay.
What's going on in the it looked like there was it there, or is that like a suggestion?
Yeah, I think that was a suggestion.
How does it go away?
It is not going away. I don't know why. Why is it not going away? Go away. Or if I put an equals in it, that usually helps. Okay, there we go. I was missing an equals. Thank you. All right, and I don't want it to do that either. So we'll just say log.fatalf. We're just gonna fatalf everything. This is just fun.
This is not production code.
This is a tool for our use and our use alone. But we can also go back and clean it up after the fact. Okay. All right. So we have interesting. So Gemini generate content. What can we do with that? Do we have any other options? It seems to be complaining about a few other things. Interesting. Okay. This is where let's just tidy that up a little.
So where did this prompt come from? Because you did the clickety click, and I was like,
where did it go? Okay,
where
so
did the flowers come
this
from?
was the sample code from the quick start on the Vertex AI quick start. So I just
awesome. That was the
okay.
I was like,
no, totally
I thought
fair.
you did a code assist magic, and it decided we were doing flowers with our samples.
I could have done, but I didn't.
Awesome.
Oh, interesting. All right, so hold on. G context string and then some kind of prompt. So we were actually going to do like what are 3 things you would do to improve this code base, which is what we were talking about previously. This is where we want to end up, right?
Right. So, okay, thinking about how we prompt things, and one of the things that matters to me a lot is using modern idioms, and not like just because the code in here is like, I don't want to, like, where would I say, because it also could be limited in terms of what is available on whatever runtime or something, like but suggest things that are modern versus like following the right? Oh, modern. Okay, yeah,
something like that.
Cool.
I would prefer Australian, like English, British spelling, but you know.
Well, so what I was wondering is, like, is this something where I would prompt it in the system instructions or something to, like, as like a, like you, or if it's in the prompt itself. This is one of the areas where I get like, where does this fit?
Well, I feel like, okay, this is take this with a large grain of salt. I'm like, like we're asking it to do a thing. So that's the prompt, right? My understanding, and feel free, I know there's some friends of ours in chat. Correct me if I'm wrong, but like system information or the stuff that you can put sort of like as like a preamble is kind of more like tone or like persona or like that kind of thing, or stuff that like you don't want edited by whatever the prompt is coming in. It's kind of more static. That's my understanding of it. Is my like, and feel free to like disagree with me. That's the way I've kind of played with it. And so I've kind of landed that way. It almost makes me feel like almost SQL injection-y, if that makes sense. Like in that kind of vein, like the stuff that you put in the preamble, you wouldn't let someone put input into, as like a user doesn't get to put input. But in the prompt, they might be able to put that in. So then the preamble, they're like, you are this, and you can respond in these ways, but you don't need that to be editable by anyone else. Now, for what we're doing, though, it doesn't matter. We control the whole stack, so it's kind of on us.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna figure out how to share the right thing, because oops, I'm doing the wrong thing. Let me go over here. Yeah, because I want to show why I am getting confused sometimes. Because it is role, it is role-ish, but it's also like it says like, you know, these things or something, and it's kind of like, do we need to preemptively tell it? Let's see.
There you are.
Yeah, I figured it out. Okay, so when generating code, offer, explain it as necessary, and maintain good coding practices. So it's really about like when providing context, provide answers that are modern idioms of Go or something like.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, so my thought with anything is usually start simple and get more complicated.
Awesome. Let's do that then.
Okay, that would be kind of my take. But we can add more stuff. So do we want to keep modernize, or do we want to go with improve, or how are we feeling?
Let's go with improve. Like, it can tell us maybe it's a modern approach. Maybe it's this is a security issue. Why are you doing this?
Yeah, who knows, right? And I think we'll have to put some bits and pieces in between, but that's okay. All right, so all right, so what did I want to look at? I wanted to look at here. Okay, so we have a client that we can do stuff with. No, not what I want. Here we go. Client, blam.
This is one of the things I love about the Go language is when you publish things, it puts it all in there and makes it easy to browse. So it's one of my just like appreciations of Go.
Now, oh, interesting. So we have a client, but then do we do anything with the client? Did I copy paste this badly, or is this just weird?
Did we actually set that up correctly? Like
what did I do with it? Here we go. Let's go back to the quick start. Did I do something?
So if you're following along in the audience, what languages are you using? Is Go something that you use?
Or? That's the Gemini thing. Okay. Did I do that? Oh, I see. Okay, that's where Gemini comes from. All right, cool. Oh, we have too many things called prompt. Got it.
Where are you seeing errors? Or like, is there another screen that you're seing errors as you're going?
See that there? You see the little squiggles I got underneath? It's complaining at me that I don't have any new variables on the left-hand side.
Got it. Yeah. I was like, how are you figuring out that you've got a problem? Got it.
Okay, that's why it's complaining, and that's unused. Okay, that's totally fine. Okay, got it. Okay. So let's just make that fatal. All right, suggest, that's fine. Okay, yeah, it's just fine. Well, it is. You know what? It's a command line tool. If it fails, it's just gonna fall over. I think that's acceptable.
I love that you are like fataling all the things.
Yeah, that's fine.
Awesome.
And then I'm gonna be a little cheeky and do this as well. I really shouldn't, but it's fine. Why are you complaining? No, I want you to do that. Oh, that's an interesting question. So generate content takes in parts. Interesting. And what's a part? A part is an interface. Ooh, okay. I just got rid of a bunch of stuff, but sorry. Yeah, I keep doing that. I keep getting the wrong stuff. GenAI.text. GenAI is this. So if we come back into our package and we look at, all right, so where are we? Generative model gives us back a generative model. Here we go. And that generative model, oh, we can count tokens. Ooh, we can count tokens.
Let's do it. Let's do it. I
All
want to know how
right.
many tokens this is.
I think okay, all right. But it takes context, takes a part. A part is an interface. And then like, I'm going to guess that type text is a piece of text, which is the part. That is one thing that is really kind of annoying in, this should be GenAI in Go, is like, because, not part, text. Because what do we call it? Interfaces are by convention. So like if it does match, if the methods match, then it implements the interface. Is fun. Okay. So we actually don't want to generate content. What we actually want to do is say, all right, let's say, oh my God, count. I'm guessing it's error, which would be Gemini dot count tokens. We'll take in a context. Actually, no, let's turn that into a variable. Oh, I just realized something. All right, hold on. Bear with me one sec. What we need to do is actually take the prompt that's come in and all our source code and mush it together into a bigger string, basically. So what I'm actually going to do is maybe something like this. Total content or total context, maybe like that. Format.sprintf. With the following code base. Answer the question in percentage %s. And we'll do some extra line breaks, and then percentage %s, which will be okay. So this is not pretty, but prompt and then g context. So what I'm thinking is to say, like, basically it gives it more instructions. So it should say, with the following code base, answer the question, which is the prompt that the question that we put in, how to improve things. And then we do a couple extra line breaks, and then we put all the code in next. Does that sound relatively legit?
It does. It does.
Okay. All right. I think it does. All right. So now GenAI text total context. Oops. And then log.printf. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Count.total tokens. That was pretty close, actually. So a lot of the things you'll see where I get code completion on the line is Gemini Code Assist being like pretty good. All right, so token count. Okay, let's run it. Here goes nothing. All right, here we go. Let's see what happens. I think it should still all be authenticated. It should just go up. We'll find out. How are we doing for time? Oh, we're good. We got like another half an hour or so. Easy. Whee.
Okay.
Why is it? Here we go. Ooh, something failed.
Okay, I was wondering, when did we authenticate?
So I've done this before where I've just literally used my local, like it uses my local authentication. So it should just authenticate locally. Authenticated description, valid OAuth.
Did you do the authentication to this new project?
So I am authenticated to here. I don't know. Give me Pute. Give me. I'm just thinking of something. Instances list. Like, show me how many compute instances there are. For example, there aren't any.
Okay.
So like,
Cool.
I
This is a
am
new project.
authenticated.
There's
Yes.
nothing there. Yeah, but that would fail if you weren't authenticated. So
But what I might need to do is do this, which is an application default login, which is that. So let me use my Gmail account. You're seeing way too many of my email addresses, but that's fine. All right, that may be what we need. Let's try that. I think that's right. There we go. Now it's kind of just sitting there waiting. So that is there are like, you have your local, like, hey, I'm authenticated, I can use G-Cloud and do stuff. And then you have like your application authentication, which is like, hey, I need to like treat it like it's an application. I'm not entirely sure exactly what the lines are, but they are different. Okay, we have that's a very tight number.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
Yeah. So there is a really good question that I think you and I were talking about before, is what happens if you need to go over 2 million like token context? I don't know what the answer is for that. If anyone has any ideas in the chat, please drop it in. But we are just under, so like dope. So let's just be like, fine.
Cool. We're totally it's fine. Let's we won't add any Docker files or anything like that. Let's just stick with the Go.
Yeah, let's just stick with that Go. Although actually that's probably a good, what was I going to say? It probably also just depends on what you're also trying to do. Now I'm thinking about it, because we could go, for example, I guess let me rephrase. It depends whether we want to be like cross-cutting across the entire repository. And maybe like there's probably some interesting stuff where we'd be like, hey, do you see common patterns or something like that? And it might be really interesting. But like you could also just go directory by directory and be like, hey, this particular directory of code, is it good, bad? How would you change it? But anyway.
Yeah, it goes to like the organization of the code within your projects. In this example,
it's true.
It's like very discrete. In your own open source projects, you might have like, it's like the whole thing. It's like a monolithic inside a thing. So interesting. Okay, what can it tell me?
All right, yeah. Sorry, I went on a tangent. Yeah, cool. All right, so let's. All right, so we get it a total context. All right, let's. Yeah, that's literally exactly what I wanted. Thanks so much, Gemini Code Assist, for just doing exactly what I was thinking. All right, log dot printf response. Yeah, thanks. Response dot. Oh, I've done this before and I don't remember what it is. Let me actually loop through. Let's see if it'll actually remember how to do this. All parts of response. I don't know if it will. I've done this in another project. Ooh, thank you for that.
What was it doing?
You should close your client when you're done.
Oh,
that's all.
Yes.
So different. Yes, not that like the whole thing goes when you're done, so that's fine.
What is this doing right here? Like candidate.
So I can't remember this exactly, but you end up with this candidates thing that is an array, and then within that array there are parts, and so you You can, yeah. So I'm just trying to make sure that it gets us back everything. So this should be, so hold on. What I should then is for part in range candidate dot content dot parts. It comes back in this, like, there's all these different little things that you can do. I don't know. It's gonna say response, just in case it sends us back a bunch of things. That makes sense. I'm not entirely sure what this means, other than if you get back, here we go. So if we have a look at the, maybe if we look at the actual documentation, that would help.
That's why I was like starting to go back there. I'm like, what is this?
What is this exactly? So here we go. Generate content gives a generated content response. Output only. It's the generated candidates. That didn't help. What's a candidate? Candidate.
That's it. I'm like, what is a candidate? What it feels like it's a data science term,
I guess.
but I'm like, give me some DevOps understanding of candidate.
Candidate is a response candidate generated from the model. Okay. Thanks. Candidate's a candidate. Sweet. It gives us a, I mean, there is all kinds of interesting information, but then we have content. Okay, under content, user or model. That's fun. Okay, whatever. And then parts, it constitute a single message. All right. Part is either a text or blob or file data. Actually, is there anything in the quick start? That's not. Oh, I've done this.
Okay, I'm doing searches, and it seems like it's terminology.
Yeah.
Around mathematical representations to describe something. So it's like I cannot find here's this specific terminology, but it's definitely used in this, because it's like a candidate model is the set of potential models to capture the uncertainty in time series data.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think it's like, this is a possibility.
Just putting some extra debugging in there. Well, say what, let's just run it. Let's see what happens.
Yep, sounds good.
All right. See what happens. There you go. I put some a little bit in it so we can actually know that we're waiting on stuff.
There needs to be a nice part of this tool that just like showcases pictures of dogs while it's.
We could do that.
While
we can add some emojis.
Well, it's doing its thing. It's like it's compiling. It's compiling.
So we haven't done. Oh, this is gonna be interesting. We haven't done a few things, but that's all right. Let's just see what it spits out. This might take a while. Oh, unable to super request because the service is temporarily out of capacity.
So that that's where I was like, that's where you might, why a particular region or location might matter is
yes.
And all of documentation always gets people starting at US Central 1. So my initial thing is always like, what is the first region that is close to me that is not that one?
That's fair. But let's also see what the internet says. Gemini. Ooh. I hit a quota. Interesting. Is this got billing set up on it?
Yes.
All right, good. Just checking.
Because it wouldn't work at all if there's no billing.
That's true. That's true.
But the quota is going to apply to the whole thing.
Let's have a look and see if we're No, go away. Okay. It's worth looking at. All right, so we're okay. And that's US Central 1. All right, but let's pick current usage percentage. All right, we've used, what is it? Tokens per minute per base model per minute per region per base model. Oh my gosh. Okay, fine. Should we try a different region?
I think so, but also let's go ahead and answer this question because this is great. What exactly does billing mean in this context?
Oh, good question. Basically, can you pay for this project? Is this project connected to some kind of mechanism that enables it to get money? Yes. You can have a project set up without billing. You'll not be able to do a lot with it, but I've done that before. Tried to do stuff against a project that doesn't have any money attached to it, and it goes no.
Yeah, there's a lot of resources that that are free where you don't have to pry, and there's a whole listing on that. We are intentionally early on we decided we're going to go ahead and do the connect with the pay stuff because we work at Google, so we can connect things. Yeah. So we're not limiting our usage to things that are the free level. But yes, this is enabled, and that's where understanding where the quota hits and whether we're hitting quota in that region for the capacity constraints or quota for our actual project. How did you figure out which regions this is available in?
I just that was like, I'll just try it in US West.
Okay, cool, awesome.
Because it's near me. That was it. That's all I got. So there are other things I was looking at too. There is some stuff that I haven't played with Gemini where you can cache information and then go back and requery it, so it kind of just sits there, so you're not using as many tokens, you're not spending as much money on every single one. I thought that'd be cool, but I don't know if we'll have the time, so let's see how we go. Unless maybe this is why we're running into but you know what we did some really big token count stuff last time using podcast content, which was the last episode. So in theory this should work. It may take 90 seconds. It may take a little while. But let that run in the. I'm going to let that run in the background. I'll show you what I was talking about because I haven't looked at it. I was looking at the GenAI package, for example, and if I look at, I can't remember what it's called. Here we go. Generative model. There's.
You want to make that just a little bit bigger?
Yeah, for sure.
It's
reasonable. Generative model, generate content. That wasn't that one. There's actually, there's some good examples in here. Oh, look at you. Look at you being so handy. Is it just part of the client? Is that where I saw it? Oh, here we go. Yes. Creates cached content.
Awesome.
Oh, and then you can do a generative model from cached content. Oh, interesting. I haven't played with that before.
Okay, we gotta look at that. Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah. Bring it back. Bring it back. What is it? What's it doing?
Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah. I was gonna go have a look and see if it's still running. It hasn't died yet. So it's still going. Still waiting. So actually, as an interesting question, if we go back to our quotas and I'm just going to refresh the whole page because I can't find a refresh button. We might actually see that we've got some slightly different quotas. We'll see some stuff happening in... no, we haven't actually seen too much. Okay. Hasn't complained too much. All right. Whoop. We got stuff.
Ooh. This is exciting. Okay, what is it saying?
All right, here we go. Oh, there's a bunch of stuff. Hold on, wait. Where did it? Oh my gosh, so much. Okay.
Do we need to remove the print out the 10 lines piece?
Maybe.
No.
What did we? Hold on, I'm trying to look at this. Okay. Sorry. Got excited. I got very excited. All right, so this is our 10 lines. We counted the number of tokens. We generated a response. It, for whatever reason, gave us back Markdown in Go format. Weird, but okay. Package snippets prompt. Why is it giving us back a bunch of code? Okay, weird, but okay. 1, error handling. While the code includes basic error handling, it could be improved by providing more context in error messages instead of simply returning the error from there. Wrap it in a message. Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, that is awesome, and that's one of the ones we talked about doing like a fix it a couple years ago. Like we should make these. So that is awesome,
and that's probably actually a really good thing that it would have seen across the entire code base rather than say like a specific folder. You may have got this too, but if it's like, hey, I'm seeing this as a pattern across the board, we should highlight this. Okay. Input validation. Add basic input validation for the project ID and location parameters. Check if they are empty strings. Return an error if so.
Interesting. So this one almost is like because we kind of do this. We like have that same set of guidance on each one. This almost could be like a string replace. What do you think in terms of as like the snippet? And like setting project ID and location.
I think there's an interesting idea in there. I think it's kind of one of those like, if I'm not as familiar with the snippets themselves, so I don't actually know them very well. But if that's input that I need to put in, like here's a project ID and it's blank, that's like an easy like, oh, you messed up good. If I don't know what happens if the blank. Like if a blank project ID goes over to like a Google Cloud API and it ends up being blank, does the API give you back like an actual nice error code, or it just goes, oops, I can't find the project, and you're like, why isn't it got a project? You could spend like a day looking at your code and not realizing that you never actually set it in the first place. So
yeah, I don't know what what it will return, but the reason it's so short is because it's like the same across, and it's just like be consistent. It not just in Go, but all languages. Yeah. And it's kind of like there's almost like a pattern of like edit this code to make it the location ID and the project ID. So I'm like, this one is not as interesting, but it's interesting from a usability perspective.
Yeah, right.
If you didn't know you needed to do this, is the error message going to tell you need to do this?
Yeah.
If you ran the snippet.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Jennifer, I might make a small request. Can you pull your camera down just a smudge? Because I can't see your face. I can't see your face. Or you just getting very close to the screen. Something very cool was happening.
I'm leaning forward, be like, ooh.
Okay, no worries. All right, so let's see what our third one is here. Configuration options. Allow for customization of the dataset creation request. I don't even know what this is. This looks very specific.
This is way too specific, and it's only going to be a subset of the samples that have that problem. So, so maybe all the ones that have to do with data set creation need some additional readability.
How many of these create data sets type things do you think off the top of your head, at least? Because I'm sure there's a lot of there's a few, a few 100,000 lines of code.
I am gonna just check because I wouldn't imagine there's that many of the overall. There's 214 files, and all in the sort of like so like AutoML, healthcare, Firestore, BigQuery, so it's a subset.
We could also. All right, so what was I gonna say? What time have we got? So we've got about another 15 minutes or so. My thinking is we just spend that time playing with the prompt and see what
that sounds good.
we can get out of this. It's always, I'm still very curious about why we get like some of this stuff up here.
Is it within the top? Well, no, it's not.
No, it's part of the response. It's very odd. But I'm willing to bet that with like some prompt massaging, like we could be like, hey, Gemini, don't output any code. Just give us responses. Maybe we'll actually just put that. Code base answer this question. You are an expert, software developer.
Do we have to separate out the system like, do we have to label?
I don't think it actually matters. I think it's more just an organizational thing. That's my understanding anyway. I'm also just being really lazy with it.
Awesome. I was wondering if we said things like, instead of just improve, say something about security and reliability.
Oh, all right. So do not answer the question. All right. So where's our question? So I'm gonna tuck that in just for funsies. With excellent communication skills.
Oh, awesome.
All right, brilliant. All right, so what did you want to call this? What did you say? Like,
instead of just 3 things to improve, it's like 3 things that around security and reliability, maybe.
That you would change to improve security and reliability of this code.
Because we honestly, we want our samples to show people how to do things in a way that like improves their security and reliability when they're using this, right? So
yeah. Oh, we probably don't need to have it count tokens anymore. We have a pretty good idea.
But you're not versioning this, so when you share this with the team, because we want to use this awesome tool. We just built a tool for the team. I can't wait to share it with everybody.
There we go. I mean, it came up with some all right stuff. All right, so we're generating content. I am very curious to see, like, quota is a thing, right? Like it does say like, hey, don't use like we don't want to hit any limits. There we go. We can actually see, oof, US West is like going up. We may, given what we're doing and how we're doing it, it may complain at us. We may want to bounce regions around a little bit to allow some space. Because what is it? 4 million tokens per minute per base model per region, I think is what it is. We shouldn't hit that though. Like that would have been our last. I mean, we're technically probably still within a minute, but oh yeah, no, it hates us. Okay, so we're sending out a lot of stuff. Interesting. All right, well we'll just go. We'll go.
What if we? Well, I was gonna say, instead of doing all of the samples, what if we do a subset? And I'm just looking at the.
Well, actually, what I was also thinking is let's not count tokens, because I'm willing to bet that that's part of the work, and it's probably not. It's actually not important.
Okay, so you can comment out that.
Yeah,
code or something.
Like
Awesome.
There. It's useful to have, I think. But really bad version control. Don't do this at home, kids. But let's take that out. I've also moved it to a different region. Shh, it's fine.
It's all good.
Yeah. This is the way we're doing this now. Like I said, would be quite expensive, given that we're sending the entire context over every single time rather than caching it. I think if we had some time, I'd be tempted to explore caching, but we do what we have to do within the timeframes we've got it.
Awesome.
This also makes it a little bit easier for us to iterate on like the format of what we're sending over, and if we want to change any of that, it doesn't look like we're going to change anything major, at least not right now. Oops, keep going back over to there. So now if we look at, kind of curious to know how fast Quota actually updates. Yeah, actually, look at that. US Central has already dropped.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's already kind of disappeared, and actually, so is US Plus One. Look at that. So it is. I mean, it's literally like if you were doing this maybe once every 10 minutes or once every hour, you'd probably be fine. I'm willing to bet.
Yeah, and in this case, like once you had it, like developing the tool or like hammering it, but once you figured out exactly what you're doing and like how you wanted to frame it, you would go, okay, I'm going to do this thing, and then you're going to go actually implement whatever it's suggesting.
Yeah, you might run it
valid.
like once a week or something and be like, hey, what are you seeing in the code? That's actually an interesting report. That'd be an interesting report. And I could also see, like you were talking about, like bigger than a 2 million context. I do wonder if what you'd probably end up is a bunch of different overlapping tools, if that makes sense. Like maybe one that looks across large chunks of the Go code base, ones that maybe looks at all your Docker files, maybe ones that go folder by folder by folder by folder by folder. Be like, if you look at individual apps, what do you see? You could even go on. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
So one of the ones is that I would love is taking our different repositories for the different languages. So just like there's a Golang samples, there's a Python doc samples, and a Node.js doc samples. And if you were able to say, tell me where the problems where these samples are not doing the same thing, and that gives us places where we've got debt that we need to go improve and fix those particular samples.
Now, I'm not entirely sure still why are we getting this code here. That's interesting. But anyway, I feel like it's like this is code you might want to. Yeah, I don't know. That's really, I'm not sure why that's there. That feels weird. But anyway. Or
Can
it feels
we
like
make
this.
it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can we make it ignore the project ID and location ID as an improvement?
Where are we? Input validation. Yeah, it feels like it's almost specific to this particular piece of code. And I don't
because
know
that's a
why.
copy paste across. Like I think it's almost like every code sample is going to have that, and it's like I do not like this. Fix it.
Right, but it's interesting. Like this, very specific. Like it's like this.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I was talking about the suggestion number 1. I'm like, no, not that suggestion.
That's an interesting one.
The error handling. Ooh.
In response to wait. All right. This might be canceled or timeout. This could leave potential hanging definitely. Check for context.error. You kind of do though. Interesting. I'm not sure about that one.
You know that number 2 one, that only applies to a single snippet.
Yeah.
And it's the create dataset.go. Oh. What's up? Is it only sending a single? Is it only this one?
It seems like that's what it's sending, like that's what it's responding on.
Does this code right here match the one that it's printing out? Because this is the only place in the entire code base that second recommendation applies.
All right, bear with me a sec. So we're gonna be really cheeky.
Ooh.
What did I just do? All right, let's print 100 lines. I want to see what we're actually sending a little bit more. No, we send. That's 100 lines, right? Like, so contents of that file, write a code sample that creates a data set.
That is one sample. Where's the rest of them? Oh,
There's the next one.
that's the test for that sample.
Yeah.
What about the other?
All right, give me 500 or like 1,000. Give me 1,000 lines. But it does seem like, okay, there we go. That's better. Like there's the test text. There's some more stuff. That's text predict. But it does, you know what? It does make me think that you're right. It's only looking at the first one. Maybe we need to be very specific in our prompt. Communication skills. Considering all the files that are given to you in this code base.
Do we need to say like we're sending over this context and each code is demarcated, but consider the whole thing?
Yes. Yeah, that's a good question. Yes. Each demarcated. Did I spell that even vaguely correctly? All the files that are given to you in this code base. File name. Answer the following question. I was going to say, do not return. All right. Maybe something like that. Give that a shot.
Sure.
All right. Just give us 1,000 lines. I didn't need 1,000 lines. I'm just going to shrink that for a second. Oh, where did that go? I hope you don't mind my dog playing. I don't know if you can hear the bonk,
I can't.
bonk.
Thump. I'm like,
what is that?
I'm like, you're moving. That's what's going on.
It's no, it's that's my dog playing with a wobbler. Apologize. Sorry, I also just realized for anyone who hasn't come along, so this is all open source code from where's the repository? Well, it's running in the background. This is the Golang samples code base that we're pulling in and putting it all. We're basically parsing it all, taking the files, just grabbing all the Go files. Seems like a good place to start, and then dropping it all in Gemini to see what we get out of it, basically. Using that 3 million context window. Actually, what I might even do. All right, so that's top 50 lines while that's running in the background. I'm going to go print top 50 lines of total context as well. Beautiful.
I think you need a separate camera that's like focused on your dog, and then like no, it'll be great because then you could be like, you could change the sources for the camera at any time to be like typing some code, and it's like giving some dog interjections. It would be amazing.
Oop. Something happened.
Oop.
There we go. All right, so it still did this thing where it's looking at the top one. Why? Why? Oh, that's annoying.
It really likes our data sets. Okay, let's
Because
see
that's the first one.
That's the very first one.
Yeah.
No, really.
No,
All
like,
of them.
yeah. And I'll be honest, I've absolutely done this with Gemini when you're like, no, but seriously, like, sudo make me a sandwich. Like, this is what I want. Do what I want. Or keeps. Answer the question, providing specific examples across the code base. Something like that, maybe. Also, I can't spell communication. I don't know if you noticed that. Usually I used to get, here we go. I used to get spell check. Where did my spell check go? Proofreading. There we go. Yeah. What? Nah. Just not gonna do it. All right.
Okay, what if we tell it explicitly that we have concatenated all the files together?
Ooh. You have been provided the concatenated source code for the entire repository. I like that. Each file is during the line. Consider all the file content in its code base. Just the first one. I'm going to just do that. Code base. All right, we're almost out of time, so I think let's run this and let's see what we get.
Awesome. This has been such a blast. Thank you.
So let that run in the background. So okay, so while that's running, what are some interesting things that you've learned so far? What do you reckon?
Push
you on the spot. Haha.
It is fascinating to see how you do your live coding in Go. It's been a treat because everybody, we think of like coding as like just a single way to do something right. But really, we all have a set of practices that we learn, and they're always evolving. And so your use of Code Assist really opens my eyes to some of the things. And because you're so experienced, you can quickly see what things are valid. And it was so interesting watching you write, then click and go, and you're just so fast. So
not that was a good thing on a live stream.
no, but this is not like we're not pre-formatting content. It's not like we script it up or we're going to say, this is exactly the kind of thing I love experiencing. So thank you for this opportunity. But another thing that was really interesting is I've been doing some stuff recently in this area in Python because there's a lot of existing, and it I hadn't realized some of the different ways that how the language applies. So it's really important to look at the documentation with each and any of the APIs you're using to make sure you're like landing the right thing, but also the sort of the idioms. It's a challenge. This is not just straightforward and easy. So thank you. This is such a delight.
This has been super interesting. Okay, so this is also, we're just looking at, okay, so this is oh, that's a line that doesn't mean anything, so we'll get rid of that. Don't worry about that. It's fine. All right, so there's our prompt to each file. It's in their file name, although maybe that should actually be accurate.
Why is it printing? Is there something there where?
No, so I did a sample of the top of it, so like the top 50 lines. So it gives us of like our actual prompt, and it gives it like what the format is. Cool. Anyway, so it's still generating content. I'm not just thinking of ways we can improve things maybe, or see what it comes back with, but we'll see how this goes. If this comes back and says, hey, I've run out of resources. Well, actually, let's be interesting. Let's have a look at our quotas again, because we took out that text, that content, counting. Yeah, see, this looks so much better already. I reckon that actual token counting thing is, I'm going to say it may actually be quite expensive. Just in terms
that is interesting. I would like that's another surprising thing that I wouldn't have thought of it as consuming a bunch of resources. I would think it's like a proactive thing that you would do in advance
to have a bit of a sense of like what you're potentially going to get.
Yeah.
But I've also seen it, like if you're using like AI Studio, or I think even Vertex Studio does very similarly, like you'll drop content in places and they'll be like, hey, actually we've seen it. We saw it in Vertex Studio when Kathleen and I were doing podcast stuff last week. And as you would drop in like an audio file, it would say, hey, this is how many tokens you are. This is how many tokens you have. So you have an idea of what you're coming up against, which makes a certain amount of sense for sure. Oop, here we go. Oh, okay. So we still got like a big, interesting. I did ask it for like examples. So where are we? Okay, hold on. Sorry. That's our prompt, generating content. Okay, this is our response. It's given us back the MySQL version. So there's a MySQL example here. Here are 3 things we changed of this code specifically. I mean, so this is not bad. This is like using Secret Manager rather than secrets directly.
I love that it's like that's closer to what I would expect in terms of like security and reliability. And again, proper error handling and logging. I think that is a crucial usability, explain how to do a thing.
And apparently connection pool tooling. So I'm not quite sure why we're not getting stuff that's like sort of cross-cutting. But that may be something for another day. Or it's looking at everything and being like, this is actually, this particular bit of code is an example of like most of the issues I'm seeing potentially. I'm not sure. But at least we got a different result than we did last time. So I'll take that.
So what are the top things that you learned in this this adventure?
Apparently it's really hard to make it go across an entire code base for some reason. I don't know why. Gemini can be finicky. The models in turn, like LLMs can be finicky. I already knew that. That was not a surprise to me. Some of the, you know what, Code Assist still surprises me every time I use it. I'm like, what do you, I'll just generate that. That's what I needed. Thanks. All right, cool. I don't mean to like chill it. I actually really like it. It's a great product. So that's been super nice. Those are probably the top 2 things. I'm still not sure what a candidate is, but that's okay. I can work with whatever I'm handed back. File path walk. That was a new one. I thought that was neat. That's a nice little library. The standard library is part of Go. Actually, yeah, file path. Look at that. I was pretty happy with that. So yeah, those are my things. I don't know. It was interesting. I found some cool stuff. It has a decent understanding of Go code. I was pretty impressed. I think out of the responses we got in total, the one I actually like kind of the most is the fact that it said, "Hey, don't use environment variables. Use Secret Manager." That was pretty slick. I'll give it points for that, because that's
I
not
wonder.
only a understanding of Go code, but also understanding of Google Cloud products and putting the two together as conceptual things. So that's kind of neat.
Yeah, that is pretty awesome. It's actually I was like digging into the Secret Manager and if it worked with App Engine yesterday because I was trying to figure out whether I could fix something with a sample. So it'd be amazing if it was like, yes, you can do it with all these things.
This almost feels like what it's done is it's gone through all the code and said, which one do I want to improve? Like, which one is it the one like that kind of thing? You know what? If we had more time, what time is it?
It's 5:10.
Okay. Okay. All right. So, yeah, I think we might have to run on soon. I think what I might also do, like I would be tempted to do maybe at a later date, is ask it what patterns it sees across the entire code base, and if there's opportunities for reuse. I wonder if it'll still do the same thing, but I'm not sure.
I would love to find where there's duplicate code where we might want to, because that is a cost of maintenance.
Yes.
If we can like streamline. So what I'm hearing you say is that we're going to do a follow-up at some point in the future. And I'm going to crash your stream and we're going to dig more into this because it will be fun.
Yeah.
Yay,
those
Mark.
Those are my ideas. I can't remember what the rest of our schedule looks like, but I'm sure we can find some time.
We'll just find some time. We'll just be like part 2 of open source maintenance with Gemini.
There we go.
Thank you so much.
So those are cool fun. Awesome. All right. Well, Jennifer, is there anything you want to mention? Anything you want to spruik? Any social media stuff you want to mention that you have? I don't know, events coming up, something, anything for
no, like, if you see problems with our samples and you want to submit a pull request, that's why we got them out here in open source. We welcome your contributions and we love to understand how people are using our code.
All right.
So woo.
Brilliant. All right, Jennifer, thank you so much for spending time with me today. And everyone who is watching, thank you for paying attention to our journey through Gemini. See ya.